The first and most important decision that you must make in an organization, and you will be doomed to failure without it, is a core concept called operating model. Now, there are many, many different uses of the term operating model, unfortunately, but the one I'm talking about here is the one that's from this book. It's called Enterprise Architecture as Strategy. It's from MIT CISR, MIT pub thing, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Center for Information Services Research. Published by Harvard Press, though. It's actually published as a business book more than an IT book. I'm going to say you're quite brave, which got a few grimaces in the audience at the MCG last week. But if you're working as an enterprise architect and you have not read this book, you're seriously lacking in your career. It is the seminal book in enterprise architecture. Okay, you need to read it. It is absolutely mandatory reading in our field. At its core, it has this concept. Assuming you're not a single business unit that just does one thing, you know, a single small business which only has one business unit. But most large organizations we work with have multiple business units. Even banks have retail, business banking, personal banking, you know, wealth management, margin lending, all of those type of things. So assuming you're not a simple business, and by the way, if you are a simple business with just one business unit, the answer is unified. It's by definition. So what this diagram says is, what is the desired, forget where you are today because it's very unlikely to be where you want to be. What is the desired level of cross-business unit process integration? So I'll stay with the banking. So if I'm onboarding a customer inside retail banking, does it have an impact on business banking, or would I like it to? Does it have an impact on margin lending, or would I like it to? Do I need to know that somebody's been in that retail bank or not for most efficient operations? And then what is the desired level of cross-business unit process standardization? So do I want exactly the same process for onboarding a customer in business banking than personal banking? Highly unlikely. Okay? So you then simply map yourself out on here to find out where you are. Now, there's no right or wrong answer, by the way. Even two businesses operating in exactly the same industry segment can come up with different answers because there are pros and cons to each. By the way, the hardest merger in the world to do by far is between a diversified corporation and a unified. Quite apart from the IT systems, culturally they're very different. Unified is all, let's all sing around and, you know, sing Kumbaya and hey. You know, this is all command and control. You know, because each individual business unit's given control of its profit and loss. The guy who runs it as an individual business just tells people what to do. So culturally they're very different, never mind for coming from a very different IT perspective. And by the way, the usual answer is to go to coordinated. Okay, now I'm going to spend most of the rest of it talking about coordinated because in our experience, most organizations are moving there to coordinated. And broadly, in its simplest definition, coordinated is we're going to share some things but not others. Okay? There are lots of other implications to these models about investment or prioritization process that the book talks about in some detail. What it doesn't actually cover, funny enough, as an architecture book is the architectural implications of which one of these you just use. It talks about people and process and culture and doesn't really cover very well what it means for architecture. Okay? So, assuming you're coordinated and you've made that call, that's easy to make. But how do you turn from that theoretical question of we're going to share some things and not other things into something practical, something you can do something with? Well, the business capability model to the rescue again.